Not all fresh pasta requires some sort of machine or a specialty tool like this or maybe one of these. Sometimes you just need your hands and a little bit of practice. I'll show you 3 of those shapes in today's video, but first you need to make some fresh pasta dough. This is what I refer to as my all-purpose eggless pasta dough. Start with 227 grams, 8 ounces, or 1 1/4 cups of semolina flour. Next, add 128 grams, 4 1/2 ounces, or 3/4 of a cup of 00 flour. Grab some sea salt and add 3 grams, 1/8 of an ounce, or 3/4 of a teaspoon to the bowl with both flours. Give the ingredients a quick stir, then make a well in the center of the bowl and add 170 grams, 6 ounces, or 3/4 of a cup of tepid water. Now, by tepid, I mean just slightly above room temperature. Now, you can do all of these steps directly on the counter if you want to, but I've started using a bowl just to keep my workstation a bit tidier, and that's all. Use your hands and start mixing everything together, and after a few minutes of working the ingredients, the dough will start to resemble a shaggy mass. Turn the dough out onto your counter and start kneading it with the palm of your hand. Press down and away, then rotate and repeat. Do this for about 5 or 10 minutes or until the pasta dough takes on a silkier, smoother texture. This means the gluten in the dough has started to develop. That's a good thing. Now form the dough into a ball like so, then wrap it tightly in some plastic film and let it rest at room temp for about 30 minutes. Side note, you can also make the dough a day ahead and place it in the fridge overnight. Just make sure to let it rest at room temp for a few hours before you decide to use it. The pasta dough is ready when it feels evenly hydrated, it's uniform in texture, and the gluten's had a chance to relax a bit. Cut off a chunk of that dough and let's start making some pasta. Okay, let's start with orecchiette. It's a pasta shape from Puglia and it means little ear in Italian. Take the cut piece of dough and roll it out with your hands until you have a long, rope-like piece. That's about twice the diameter of a pencil. Take that length and break it down into smaller pieces of pasta that are around a 1/2 inch or 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 centimeters long. Now, you can shape the orecchiette in 2 ways, with your thumb or with a butter knife. Let's start without any tools whatsoever. Place a piece of the dough in front of you, and using the outside half of your thumb, press down firmly and away until you reach the end of the dough. The friction between your thumb and the counter will create a rough texture on the dough, and it should curl up slightly. Now place the dough curled side up on your index finger and unroll it to form a concave shape. That's your orecchiette. Okay, an easier way to shape orecchiette is with a butter knife. Position the pasta in front of you, then take the knife and hold it at a 45-degree angle to your counter. Press down on the dough and pull toward you. You should have the same roughly textured, curled up piece of dough as when you were using your thumb. Take it and roll the dough over the top of your index finger like before to form that orecchiette. As far as a dish goes, I recommend serving orecchiette with sautéed broccoli rabe and ricotta salata. It's very simple, and you can find that recipe by clicking the info icon in the upper right-hand corner of this video. Next, let's make some trofie, a shape popular in Liguria. To make trofie, roll out the dough with your hands until you have a long, round, rope-like piece just like when you were making orecchiette. Cut the pasta into smaller pieces, about 1/3 of an inch or about a centimeter long. And just like orecchiette, you can shape the trofie in 2 ways. First, I'm going to show you the no utensil method. Place a piece of dough underneath the palm of your hand and roll it into a slightly longer, thinner piece. Position the dough horizontally on the counter. Then place the side of your hand on the outside edge of the pasta. Apply a little bit of pressure and drag it across the dough, moving diagonally across the counter. It should look like a twisted strand of pasta when you're done. The technique of using your hand can be a little tricky to get down, so I actually prefer to use a dough scraper or any basic kitchen utensil with a thin straight edge. Just follow the same process as you would when using your hands, but press down with the straight edge instead. You can even use a kitchen knife, so a specialized tool isn't necessary at all for this pasta shape. Now, if you want to stay uber traditional, serve the trofie with a basil pesto tossed with potatoes and green beans. Okay, last but not least, cavatelli. Roll out a chunk of dough with your hands until you have another rope-like shape, about 1/4 of an inch thick or slightly less than a centimeter. Now, the size of cavatelli will differ from region to region, but I prefer cutting the dough into pieces that are right around 1/2 inch or 1 1/4 centimeters in length. To form the cavatelli, place your index and middle fingers on top of a piece of pasta. Press down and pull toward you. The dough will curl up to form your cavatelli. You can use a butter knife to make them as well. Just follow the same technique. And now for a fourth bonus shape. That's right, I'm going to show you how to make gnocchi sardi from Sardinia. Now you can form these little guys with a fork, but I highly recommend owning a gnocchi board for this task. It's really simple. Just roll out and cut the dough like you would for your cavatelli. Hold the gnocchi board at a 45-degree angle to the counter. Rest a piece of pasta on the board, then press down and away with your thumb. And like that, you have gnocchi sardi. I recommend serving this pasta with a rich sausage and tomato ragu, and you can actually find that recipe by clicking on the info icon in the top right-hand corner of this video. All fresh pasta can be frozen before boiling it. Just spread it out onto a single layer on a sheet pan and freeze it. Then transfer the pasta to a container and place it in your freezer. This method keeps the pasta from sticking to each other. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and I'll catch you next time.